I knew you couldn't hear me. You want to know why I knew? Because I knew that I muted my microphone. So let's start over. Welcome, everybody, to Spindle TV. So that was me miming this intro, the first 20 seconds there. Wanted to welcome everybody and my exclusive members. Thanks for joining me tonight. My exclusive members, we didn't have a class last night. I couldn't post in time to let you know there wasn't a class as I was driving back to Ocala, Florida. So hopefully you can all hear me now. Mic check 1, 2. Everybody should be able to hear me just fine now. I had the microphone muted for that first 10 seconds, and I knew I did. I muted it right when I started the video, and I knew that was going to happen to myself. I don't know why, but how's everybody going? Now that's better. There you go. All right. So tonight we're going to, hey, with a last name like Shaughnessy, I got to do a little bit of a St. Patrick's Day project. Very simple project. We're going to work with a few graphics and vectors and text. We're going to do a little layout, put a little simple project together, just kind of get the juices flowing, the creative juices flowing for you folks. March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. And who was it that said they wanted some green beer? Brooks Martin. There you go. Right. So wear your green. Don't forget. And we're going to also play around in Aspire. We're going to do a little bit of weaving, like a Celtic weave. We're going to see if we can come up with a weave design that, for Celtic knot or something, in that sense. And see if we can't play along with that as well. All right. So with that being said, what I'm doing tonight, up until we do the weave, what I'm doing tonight can be done in desktop, Vectric VCarve Desktop, Vectric VCarve Pro, Vectric Aspire, right? All three. We're going to lay out a nice little simple sign and everything. And again, we're just going to be working with some vector graphics, text, node editing, and things like that. But towards the end, I want to try to teach you how to lay out a design. We're going to draw out a design and see if we can turn it into, when it's all said and done, if we can turn it into a kind of a Celtic weave, like a Celtic knot type weave or something, weave design. All right. The software that I'm working in tonight is Vectric Aspire, but again, Desktop, Pro, Aspire, everything applies. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and let me get that window up, and let me first of all get you folks over on my other screen here. Howdy from Detroit and all that. Let's get to screen share. Oh, the second thing I did besides muting my microphone. Oh, I did it again. The video quality, I didn't set it to 1080. I only set it to 720, the default. That's a bummer. All right, so video quality is going to be a little low tonight. Sorry about that. Daggum. All right, let's go ahead and share a screen. Can't believe I did that. That's a bummer. I do that. It's right. It's literally right before you hit. I'm using a new platform, Restream. I love them. Love them. They're great. But it's right before, during the setup, it's right there in front of your face. It says, video quality, and it's default to 720. And all I have to do is just hit the drop down and choose 1080. And I forgot to do it tonight. I just went start live stream, and bummer. Okay. That's all right. We'll get it. We'll get through it. If it's a little bit blurry because it's 720, forgive me, but hopefully you'll be able to see that stuff. Let's see. Let's throw me down here in the corner real quick. All right. So anyway, We're going to be working with a simple St. Patrick's Day sign first. Now, I had gotten hold of a bunch of 15-inch round blanks, which are like really great. You can get them like at Lowe's. You can get them pretty inexpensive. I've got some teak ones. My Lowe's here in Ocala sells the teak round blanks. They're about an inch thick, 15 inches in diameter. And then they have the regular pine ones and some others. The project that I'm going to be designing is going to be for a round base, a round platform and everything. So it's going to be a single-sided job. And I'm going to teach you on the one side, I'm going to teach you how to put a keyhole toolpath using the keyhole gadget or just freehand drawing it and everything. But I'm not going to set this up as a two-sided project. It's easy enough for me to flip the board over and, run a keyhole path. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as my X and Y 0 are fine. So it's going to be a single-sided job. We're going to go 15 inches by 15 by 1 inch thick on this particular piece that I have. And we're going to touch off on the material surface. We'll start from the center since there's no corner on this round project. So we're going to find the center and start from there. We're going to click OK. Now for visual purposes, let me get this set up here. For visual purposes, I'm going to draw in the 15-inch diameter circle. And that'll kind of give us the layout area. Now, when it comes to fonts, let's jump right into fonts and things first. We have two websites that we can utilize online to our advantage for downloading free fonts. Dafont.com is a great place online where we can get free fonts for both personal and commercial use. And then wordmark.it is a site we can use to help us choose our fonts for our project. So I'm going to go to dafont.com first. And there's not going to be any in this particular sign. There's not going to be any script. I'm not going to do any script or cursive or anything like that. I'm going to be kind of doing just kind of a variety, like a sans serif type variety, and we'll see what kind of creative fun ones we can come up with. But we will, there's all kinds of stuff. There's Celtic ones right here. That'll be fun. We'll probably use that since St. Patrick's Day, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type in ST period P8. I'm all caps. St. Patrick's. That's it. Not a quote. Apostrophe. And not a lowercase k. Hold on a second. Okay. Now that's going to be my preview word in dafont.com. Over here to the right, more options. I'm going to choose 100% free. So it'll show me the public and commercial domain licenses. And we're going to go ahead and hit submit. And now I have a lot of different choices and things that I can choose from. And I can see the word or the phrase or whatever it is I typed out, right? So what we're going to do is I'd like to have something a little bit thick in the font style for the St. Patrick's. Maybe a little different font for the Happy in the Day. Now I have lots of fonts, but all my fonts are currently on my old computer. If you remember, I transitioned to a new computer recently. And so I really kind of have to either transfer my font file over or I need to rebuild my fonts. And so that's why we're downloading some tonight. 1, to teach you how to do it. And 2, because I need some creative fonts for this project and others. Now, in the Celtic in the Celtic category and all, there's only 3 pages of fonts and everything. And so we may not have a lot of choices in the Celtic area that, will jump out at us or anything like that, but we'll see what we have. Let's go back to page 1. Usually the most popular on page 1. I think for the I think I'll do Dumbledore, and yeah, I think I'll do Dumbledore. That'll be one font. I don't know which font I'll use it for yet, but that'll be the one. Let's go ahead and download that. All right. And then I want to go back up here, and I need something kind of a little rounded, right? So not, something a little what would be handwritten? Let's see. Brush, trash, graffiti, old school. There we go. No, that's going to be, that's going to be in the script. I don't want that. Let's go various. There we go. All right, so I'm in the various basic font. And so what I'm looking for is a nice bold font that has some roundness to it, but it also has a little bit of style. It doesn't have to be really crazy or anything. There's 11 pages here. We're not going to go through all 11 pages. I'm going to make a decision pretty quickly. I like this King things. Let's go down and just look a little bit more. Let's go one more page and we'll call it of course, the one page. Looks like King Things is going to win it for me. Let's go one more, and that's it. And yeah, so we're going to go back to page 2. I believe that was on. And King Things right here. So it'll be this one. Let's take a look at that. It's got a little bit of, kind of that fat, thin kind of skinniness to it and everything. The letters are just a little bit off. They're not the greatest. That's the style I want, but they're not the. Let me randomly just pick another page really quickly. Let's go to page 7. Lucky number 7. Let's see if there's something on lucky number 7. Make sure that y'all aren't trying to send me messages or tell me something. Yes, Troy, what's up? Hold on. Oh, we can't see the DeFont screen. Okay, hold on. I got it. We can't see the DeFont screen. Why is it? I'm sharing the window. All right, hold on. I got you. I know. I wish there was a bell that you could get my attention. Hold on a minute. We went through all that hoopla. Let me see here. Share. Replace screen sharing. Oh, dog it. It's supposed to say entire screen, not window, entire screen. Dadgum, I'll learn this. I swear I will. All right, Troy, thanks, and everybody. Sorry about that. Stick with me. We're getting through it. I chose share window, not share screen. So it was only showing the Aspire window. So we are at DeFont.com right now. Let me just kind of recap really quickly. And right up here at the top of DeFont, I chose a font. The first font I chose was a Celtic. And St. Patrick's was the word that I typed in. And under more options, we can see that now. And you know what? I'm looking right at the screen. I can see what y'all see. I don't know why I didn't realize that y'all weren't seeing this. I'll get it. It's been a long day, but we're looking through, and the one font that I like in this basic various font is called King's Things, which is this font right here. But it's the style of font I really like. But the letters, it's like the edges aren't really clean on this King Thing. I like the style. I really do. It would be a good looking style for the sign that I have in mind. But the lines aren't really clean. And so what I was doing is I only went to 4 pages. And so on those 4 pages, on those 4 pages, I didn't see really any good choices. It needs the font that I want. I want it to be kind of thick and have some rounded edges to it, a little bit of roundness, but also a little bit of style. And now I'm just in a basic various font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go sans serif. And I believe there's there's a font choice up here with rounded. Give me just a second. We have cartoon groovy. Groovy is groovy. It's got to also kind of fit into the theme. A little bit too hard and rigid, right? Let's see here. I could have swore there was a font choice that said rounded, and I don't know why. Old school, that's all varsity style fonts. So school, that's like school, handwritten, brush, trash, graffiti. Graffiti looks cool. I don't want graffiti. Old school. And various. I may just have to take my chances with what I have on my computer. Don't want to waste too much time on this. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use this one here. I'll download the King's Things, and I'll use also this Subway's a little bit too thick. I'll use this one right here. So we're going to download this. We're going to go back to the various and on the basic, and it was page 2. We're going to come down to make sure it didn't mix them up. It should be on page 2 right here. Yep, we'll download that. All right, so now I've downloaded 3 folders. So I have the Dumbledore folder, the Lavoisa, and King's Things. So now once those are downloaded, now we open them up and we unzip them. So they're going to be a zip folder. So we're going to extract all. And then in the extracted file, we only want to right click and install we only want to right click and install the font file. So when it opens up here, I only have one font file. I have two text files. So we right click and we come down and left click on install, right, to install that. And then we just rinse and repeat. We'll do the next one. Extract it, extract all. When the extraction window pops up, you know, it looks like this here. Just hit extract and it'll open up the window. And then if we were to pull this to the side, you can see the type is the font file. So we want to just on that first one, just right click and install. And we'll do the third one. Now, Dumbledore has 3 different folders of fonts. So we're going to extract all. And on this folder number 1, I'm just going to select all of them, right click and install. Okay. We're going to do folder number 2, select them all, right click and install. And I might get exactly what I need just out of the Dumbledore ones. Right click and install. All right, so 3 folders of fonts, all different styles and things like that. And that's going to be good. So let's go back. Now, the other website I was talking about was wordmark.it. This helps you choose your fonts. So with wordmark.it, you can type in the word or phrase, whatever it is that you are wanting to see, and you can tell it to show your system fonts, the fonts that are on your system, or you can just see your fonts and allow it to show your fonts and everything. And so all the fonts installed on the computer, you can now see the words in the fonts that are available. And so if we go down to the D's here, on the Dumbledore, we have all of these Dumbledore files that we just installed, right? So there's quite a bit in here that I can choose from that would fit, be befitting of this and everything. And so, all right, so now I have the fonts, and now we know that DaFont, DAFONT.com helps us. We can download all kinds of fonts. And then Wordmark, MARK, Wordmark it helps you choose those fonts so you can actually see them. You can zoom in, you can take a look at them and things like that, and the font name is down here at the bottom, and you can kind of choose that way. And so Dumbledore actually has everything that I need, and so that with a combination of others, I'm good to go. All right, so let's go back to the software. Now, once again, we're back in the software. You can see the software. I can see it. You can see it. All right. So again, we're working with, this is a small disc. It's a 15-inch disc. And hang tight for 1 second. I'm going to show you a project I made for Christmas using the same type of teak disc. Let me grab it real quick. So let me enlarge myself back up here. Let me find the right screen I'm on. Okay. And so the teak, this is the back, but the teak round blanks They are at Lowe's, available at Lowe's and everything. And let me see if I can go stop sharing for a minute so we can see this. So I just have a little hanger on the back and everything. And on the front, this is the carving, right? So that teak is really a really pretty. So this is V carved, just simple V carved and painted black and everything. And it is so I can just, these are at Lowe's. These are available at Lowe's. They're about $20 a piece, the blanks. And then the pine ones, I don't know how much they are. They're probably a little bit cheaper, the ones that are pine. This is the teak ones, and they have the teak round ones, and then they also have they have square ones as well too. And so really pretty wood. I love these. And I also I'll get the square ones. The square ones come 24 by 36 or 24 by 30, I believe. And I'll cut cutting boards out of them. Out of that, I'll get like 4 cutting boards out of that one piece and everything when making cutting boards and all. But that's what that is. I gotta remember to hang that up, or thanks, Brooks. And so to join in on y'all's conversation, Word Market is phenomenal. Word Market is really great. You can spend a lot of time on there. So that's the 15-inch blank. So that is the 15. That's a 15-inch blank. You can get a lot on it, and it's really decent size. I mean, look, it's almost big in my head, right? So that's the size we're working with right there for this project. Okay. All right, so let's go through and share an entire screen, not a window this time. Perfect, wonderful, good. All right, so here we're going to lay out the design, and then we'll add the fonts and stuff, and we'll play around and all. Now, I happen to have from Valentine's Day, I happen to have a couple of flourishes that I'm going to that I'll use for my base. Let me grab these here and bring them over. Happen to have a couple of flourishes. We're going to get rid of the hearts, and we're going to change the hearts for 4-leaf clovers. So we're going to learn a little bit of node editing and stuff. We're going to change it up. But I like the vine style and everything on this, so I want to use this in this sign and everything. And so let me quit saying all the time every 5 seconds. We're going to have a flourish. Let me zoom back out. We're going to have a flourish at the top. We're going to mirror that to the bottom as well. And then we're going to have like Happy St. Patrick's in big bold letters day. And we'll do some design and all. So let's start off with a bit of node editing and switching out these hearts for little 4-leaf clovers. And I happen to have a 4-leaf clover right there that we're going to utilize. All right. And I have another one right here too that I can use also to kind of mix and match. So we can see on there the circle we're going to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this to a new layer. And I'm just going to call this my vector edit layer. We'll call it that. And we'll turn every other layer off except for that layer. And we will start to node edit. Let me get it sized down to fit on this board and zoom in and kind of work with it. So the first thing I'm going to do the easy one first at the bottom here. this flourish that I'm using, and you can Google vine flourishes, heart vine flourish, rose vine flourish, vector, use the keyword vector on Google and on find all kinds of cool little flourish shapes and stuff. On this one, I'm actually getting rid of the hearts altogether. So I'm going to come in here and delete this. And we're going to go into node editing really quickly. And node editing is going to allow me to cut the vector. So I want to cut this vector here. And I'm going to cut it over here as well. Zoom in and get on that corner. Always zoom in if you're, because sometimes vectors have anchors, these handles, these adjustment handles and everything. And sometimes the handles like this one are on top of the node. So you have to zoom in so you can get to the node when you're wanting to, cut and things like that. And so what that did is by cutting that allows me to delete that top part right there. And I'm just going to join this together with a smooth curve. We actually have a tool to join with a smooth curve, and a little bit too smooth there. We're going to take that anchor and pull it up a little. Let's do a little bit of smoothing out. Let me clean this side up. So this side, I got two nodes that are right next to each other. Don't need one of them. So let's zoom in, right click on it and delete that point. And what that did is it straightened it out. Now I can grab this and kind of, clean up that corner a little bit, make it just somewhat a little bit smoother. I can even actually get rid of that point and that point so that I'm working with let's turn the smoothing off on this one, turn it off here. So when I pull this anchor down, I just want a slight little flow. No flow. Let's see here. Let's back that up. Let's do the curve the other way. Dun, 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 dun. That's fine for right now because all of this at the bottom is getting gone too. So we're going to cut the vector here and here to get rid of this lower part. I just want this vine here. And here I'm going to join by bringing the two endpoints, not that way, sorry. We'll join with, let's select it again, that smooth curve. I don't want it it doesn't need to be that deep. Let's shallow that up a little bit. And this is going to be it's literally going to be the bottom part of this here. It's actually going to connect up here. So it doesn't need a whole lot of funkiness in it and stuff. Over here, we're going to go into node editing. And we're going to pick a spot to cut this heart free from here. And we're going to delete it. And the clover, this clover here, I'm going to hold down the control key and drag a copy of this. I'm going to make it much smaller. and I'm going to connect everything together here. So in node editing, once again, now node editing is this icon over here under edit objects, but the letter N on the keyboard is also node editing. It'll throw you into node editing. And what I'm going to do is I want to just kind of have this somewhat naturally just kind of blend into here. And then I'll take the scissors. Now it's grouped together. I got to ungroup it. I'll take the scissors and trim away just this outside line. I want to keep that inside line in there just to connect that to that. Okay. And so this heart can go away. And again, I have choices. I have a couple of choices. I'm going to just use this particular one. It has a little bit more detail around the edges and stuff. I'm going to use this one as my sample one. You can mix and match. Just understand the one with the single line is going to get all the way carved away, where the one with the double line would, it's going to cut between the lines. And on this, speaking of the double line, I want these lines to be a little bit wider. So I'm actually going to take this inside area right here. When I condensed it down, it's really small, right? So I'm going to take this inside area only. And I'm going to offset it inward a very small amount, like, you know, maybe a 32nd. Deleting the original 32nd is way too much. So let's go. There we go. And what I'm doing is making things a little bit wider in here so that when it carves, it'll have a little bit of the same consistency as some of these vines for the most part. Let me move this one out of the way. This here, I'm just going to kind of, it's going to be floating, kind of like these hearts here are here. Now, H for horizontal flip, V for vertical flip. I'm just hitting the letter H to flip that in that direction. Okay. And I'm going to hold down the control key to make a copy of it. Sizing it down and just kind of picking a spot. The hearts here on these vines, they're just floating. So the four-leaf clover will float. The heart in the middle is going to get changed with a big four-leaf clover. Hold down the control key. I'll drag one over here. One over here. Now, I'm going to rotate this around. Let's keep this one intact here. I'm going to rotate this around. I do not believe that there's any superstition or anything like that, like an upside down four-leaf clover is bad luck or anything like that. So it's just going to float there. Okay, now the big heart, I'm going to go into node editing, hitting that letter N on the keyboard, and I'm going to just pick a spot, cut the vector, you know, somewhere back here because it's going to get attached to the clover when it goes in there in its place. And like I said, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm using a Valentine's Day flourish that I had with the hearts and I am replacing it. I'm repurposing it, if you will, with the 4-leaf clover. Now I'm going to stand this straight up and make it larger. I'm going to also smooth out this line. So node editing. All right. So right here, I have a really non-smooth line, right? I have, it's just, it's really just stiff and rigid. And so I'm going to kind of clean that up a little bit to soften it up some, you know, so it's not so stiff and rigid. And I'll tend to go through on things like that. I'll tend to go through and see where things like that occur and straighten them out or fix them if they need it and everything. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling these nodes up so that I can take my scissors. Oh, this is grouped together. So ungroup. U is the keyboard shortcut for ungroup. U is the keyboard shortcut for ungroup. But the ungroup button, just so you know, is also over here under edit objects, that first icon on that first row. All right, so now I have this. This one here is going to be flipped. So the letter V is going to flip that up, and the size of it is going to be reduced down. I'm going to go into node editing. All right, you see all these vectors? I got a lot, or nodes, I mean, not vectors, all these nodes. I got a lot of nodes, right, to mess with and all that stuff. I'm going to try to minimize them some, and I'm going to use the what's called the curve fit tool. The curve fit tool will allow me to replace some of those nodes and points and everything depending on what I'm doing or what I'm trying to do. And this way, when I'm working, it's going to be less nodes that I have to deal with and stuff. It's not going to take them all away. We need them for the curves and everything. But what is Brooke saying? Has Lainey stopped listening to the chat stream? All right, let's stop for a minute. Okay, stand by. I'm listening. What's up? What do we I see a conversation about I've seen a guy paint a naked lady and create an illusion of a cloth on a Bugatti. The model was beautiful, also very confident. Here's one. Does the thickness displayed in the statues bar only work for two-sided projects? Control and select the. Is that question for me? And does the thickness displayed in the statues bar only work for two-sided projects. Control and select the component. Does that even have anything to do with what I'm talking about here? Or is that just a random question? I'm not working with a component. I'm not working with models yet. So was that question for me or for someone else? Does the thickness display in the statues bar only work for two-sided projects? Control and select the component. Yeah. All right. I'm so sorry. Let me wrap my head around this. What does that relate to? So I know what you're asking about, because I have no clue. It's completely off topic. What is that? What is a statues bar? Is that supposed to be status bar or something? What is the status bar in the software? I'm so sorry, but that's just like, does Lainey listen to the chat anymore? But yet there's not something relating to what I'm discussing, and it throws me off. I honestly don't know. I don't even know what a statues bar is, bud. I don't even know what a status bar is. Where's the status bar in Vectric? We're going to get back on track in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, but all I saw was, does Lainey listen to the chat anymore? Of course I listen to the chat. Of course I do. But I was in the middle of we were node editing. I love you guys, but it was a total brain fuck for myself right there. Excuse my language, but it just wiped my brain out. I don't even know. Now I got to figure out what a statue bar is. Status. I think he means status. What a status bar is. All right. I can't reword this question, and then I'll get back to it at the end. We'll follow that. But I've got to stay on topic, or we're going to be here till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And yeah, something like that. You can also laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com is my email. You can email those questions to me, because I'm not going to stop the project I'm working on to try to address something. We're doing 3D modeling at the end. We'll talk about it then when we're working with components. All right, let me try to get back here. In node editing, the curve fit tool, and sorry, I don't mean to sound like an a-hole. I just need, it's just completely off. It's completely off topic. If it was a question relating to, hey, does that node bar do this or something like that, then yeah, man, we're on it. But to completely switch gears, and then if I don't answer, I get snagged on, like, does Lainey not listen to the chat anymore? That's kind of like, like I'm ignoring you guys, and I'm not. So I'm just, yeah. Let me know. All right. Man, this flourish here, I'm going to actually delete it. I don't want it now. It looks like crap. And I'm just going to stick with this one here as my main flourish. So we're going to take this and group it. And I'll probably lose some viewers for that little rant, but it's just way off. Reword it. And, when we talk with models, we'll address it. All right, I'm going to go back to my layer 1, and I'm going to grab this and move it to my vector edited layer. And so this flourish, I'd like it to be at the top, not the top there, but the top up here, just right off the edge. If I decide I want this to be raised, I want to give myself a little bit of a border. If I decide it's going to be just carved, like what you saw in the sample earlier, then I want to be kind of closer to the top. And when I'm here, I want to make sure that everything is centered. So I'm going to select this. I have one more heart to get rid of on this side to put a clover in, but let me center this. There we go. And let's go into node editing one last time. Sorry, guys, I sounded like an asshole answering that question, but it just it threw me off my mind, and it's threw me off. All right. I'm going to grab any one of these clovers, and I'm going to hold down the control key and drag a copy over here. I'm going to hit the letter H to flip it, and then I can come in and size things down or up or whatever to make it fit my narrative. I'm going to offset this vector outward, deleting the original, and then I'm going to come in move that up a little bit. Right there. And I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to come in and trim just, oops, not that one, just the outside here. All right, now I done screwed that up. Let's see here. All right, there we go. I believe I can. Okay, sorry about the dinging in the background. Oh, shit. Got to share the screen again. Lord have mercy. It's one of those days, man. Lord. All right. What I just did while you were looking at my face. Thanks, Ziggy. Yeah, it just total mind fuck. There we go. Just threw off my whole game. What we just did while you were looking at my head was hope to God my daughter's not watching tonight. I told her, you and Bree watch tonight. I'm going to be live, and hopefully she's not watching and seeing what a mess I am. All right. The clover over here was still a heart. So I simply grabbed one of these clovers, brought it over, did a little bit of node editing, and change that out from a heart to a clover. So now I'm going to take this and make sure it's centered left to right. And that is going to be, that's going to take care of that. So that's taking that heart flourish, get back on track, the heart flourish, and I turned it into a little 4-leaf clover vine just by a simple swap out of the hearts for the clovers. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to mirror it, flipping it across the center of the job. So we're going to flip about center. We're going to create a mirror copy and flip it vertically. That's going to be my top and bottom. And then I'm going to draw 2 narrow rectangles. Or 1 narrow rectangle, should I say. I'm going to mirror that also. To repeat that. Then I want, I actually want that line to be down further. So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo. And I'm going to bump this line down a little bit further. And I'm going to center it. It's not centered. So I'm going to align it left to right and center it. There we go. But I want it to be brought down a little bit further because the word happy is going to be right in between in the middle here. And day is going to be in the other one. So I want to now mirror that. We're getting back on track. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. It's just one of those days. All right. We're all human. We are. Thanks, Ziggy. I appreciate you. The now fonts. Now I want my fonts. So I need to choose from what I downloaded. So in my font here, I'm going to do happy first. Well, happy and day. So let's do, because they're going to both be the same font. So I want happy and day. It's going to be all capitals. Everything is going to be all capitals on this sign. So happy St. Patrick's Day is going to be all capital letters. And so when I come in here, we're going to go HAPPY. I'm going to hit enter to create another line and DAY, right? Happy day. Doesn't matter how their alignment and everything. I'm going to be breaking this text block. What I just created was called a text block, these 2 words. I'm going to be right clicking and I'm going to go down to text and I'm going to break the block into lines. I want 2 separate lines, one with the word happy, one that's going to use the word day. And they're going to be sized down appropriately and all that stuff in just a second. But I want to choose the right font for this. So let's grab these for right now and bring them over to the side. And I want to go into those Dumbledore fonts that I downloaded. Let's go up here to the D's. And so those Dumbledore fonts, there are quite a lot of them. And they do have kind of this Celtic or this Irish, look to it. I do not know. I don't think Dumbledore has anything to do with anything Irish, but it's just got that nice kind of Celtic type look to it. The other font that I downloaded was that Vorlosa. I believe it was. What was it called? L, under the L's. Lavosa, whatever. It's in the L's. Let's go down to the L's. That was one of the fonts that I downloaded. Okay. Then I also downloaded the King's Things font. So if we go down to the K's, That was the second font that I installed. And then we went with the Dumbledore, which was 3 folders. So there are 3, there's shadows, there's silhouettes, there's just outlines, there's all kinds of things in the folder. There's italic, there's straight, that are already laid out, reverse italic, that kind of thing. And so I'm just going to go up to the beginning of our Dumbledore, and I'm just going to go with the Dumbledore 1. And the bold version, just slightly thicker. Non-bold is slightly thinner. Italic, it does allow me to italicize these fonts and everything. Sometimes certain fonts, have the italic version. Some have the bold version. Some don't. It really depends on what you download. And this Dumbledore folder has all kinds of different styles and things. So what I want to do is I want to come down here, and I've got thin, I've got wide, and that's what I kind of want to play with. I want thin for happy and day. And so that's great that they have those 2 choices. I've got all kinds of different letter choices and things like that. So we got a lot to play with and everything. So let me show you 3, 2, and 1. So that's what they have, folder 1, 2, and 3. So 3, look at the Y. It has this kind of, let me make sure you all are seeing what I'm seeing. This Y has kind of like this horseshoe. Luck, horseshoe, right? That kind of thing. That's cool, right? So 1, more of the straight leg Y. And 2, Dumbledore 2, the set of 2. Get down here again. The Y has the straight leg, right? So the 3 different fonts, 3 different folders have 3 different font styles, similar in a lot of ways, the HAPP and all that stuff, but the Y really is making the difference. So I think I'm going to go with the 3 version for the happy and day just because of the horseshoe. I don't know why. And I think I'm going to do that for the happy and the day. So let's do that. Okay. And then on this, I'm going to size it down. It's happy and day is actually going to be slightly smaller. And I'm going to try my best to keep them the same height, whatever I decide on. I want to kind of keep them the same height. And I want to somewhat try to be a little consistent with that, but it's not going to be critical, right? It's not mission critical for that. Give me 2 seconds to grab. All right, cool. All right, so don't worry about the rectangle. We're actually going to be getting rid of a whole lot of that middle. We're only going to have the little boxes over here on the side. As a matter of fact, I might as well let me get happy in there. I'll size everything to happy, and then I'll make everything match on happy and then day. So what's going to happen here, what is going to happen here is I'm going to center happy left to right. Right there. And then my rectangle, let's go ahead and make it smaller. It's going to go to here. It's going to be mirrored on both sides of that. And the reason why there's such a big gap here, you'll see in just a second. I'm going to mirror that to the other side. But I'm going to take this clover right here, the silhouette style clover, and it's going to be really small. I'm going to make it about that big, maybe a little bit bigger. And I'm going to throw that. I'm going to align. I'm going to align it right there. I'll be satisfied with that. I'm going to throw that over to the other side. Okay. And happy is going to be there. I can actually, if I'm going to bring everything a little bit closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my left side, mirror to the right. So I'm going to bring that a little bit closer to happy here. I'm going to stretch out this back over this way. Get rid of this and re-mirror. Okay. Now happy, the word happy is 1.24 inches tall. I'm going to round that up instead of some odd number. I'm just going to make it 1 1/4, 1.25. Didn't change it at all. Day, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring that down to 1.25. Nope, don't do that. Make sure your X and Y are linked before you do something like that. And then I'm going to, again, center left to right, align on the material left to right. Now, on this, once again, it's going to be the same clovers and everything that's up here, but the bars are going to be a little bit longer to be closer to the day than they were up above. But I'm still going to use this, and I'm going to mirror it. I'm going to flip it horizontally, or vertically, sorry, but it's upside down, right? I need it right side up. So uncheck, create mirror copy, uncheck, flip about center, and I'm just going to flip it vertical again to flip it right way up. I'm going to move it over. Let's get it over here. And I'm going to bring it, I want to center this on day. So I need to select both of these. I'm going to group them together because I want them to stay together as they are. Just group, keep them together as they are. And then I'm going to select day last. And then I'm going to align to that last item up and down, just to bring that down a little bit, right? I'm going to make sure that my line out here, let's ungroup that, my rectangle, when I stretch this out, I want to stretch out to that top one. I want to keep that alignment, okay, that alignment. So by dragging this out, I'm holding down the left mouse button, I'm dragging my mouse up to this other object, and I'm getting a kind of like a guideline to show me where that ends, right? And so that'll keep that lined up. Then now I'm going to mirror this, create a mirror copy, flip about job center, and throw that over. Okay. And so I want a little bit more space between things. So let me take this and see if I can bring it up just a bit. Okay. Symmetrical and everything kind of, is useful and all, but I'm actually going to just eyeball it. All right. Now, St. Patrick's is going right in the middle. I guess you guys all knew that. You could tell where it was heading from there. So we're going to go with our font, all caps. I'm going to do ST period, PATRICK apostrophe S. We're going to get that somewhat in the middle here. All right, for the font, for this particular font, I am going to go with the, let me see if I'm going to use a completely different font altogether, if I'm going to stick with the Dumbledore Let me just look at what I have on hand. That Kingston, that's that font right there. Again, let me size this. Let me center it. All right. That's that King's Things font that I chose. It's not a bad looking font, you know, and everything, but the, I don't know. I'm just, the edges of the lines, they're just a little rough. I can, like when it's zoomed out, I can see. Can y'all see that? Let me see how that shows up on camera. I don't know if that shows up very well on camera, but the lines are just a little rough around the edges. It's a shame. It's a nice font. I would actually spend hours on dafont.com and find a font just like this with a little bit cleaner vectors. I literally would, but we don't have that kind of time. So let me look and see really quickly on these default fonts if I have anything that like jumps out at me, and then I'll go back to the Dumbledore if I don't. All right, on this, I'm going to stick with the Dumbledore font, but I'm going to use, it's a shame because on my other computer, I've got some really cool fonts that would have been perfect for this. One was called Royal Signage, and I think it would have been ideal for this one. But let's go back up to the Dumbledore, and I think I'm going to go, the Happy and Day or Dumbledore 3. So I believe I'm going to Dumbledore 2, the Y had a straight leg instead of the slant. So I think I'm going to stick in that that realm, and I'm going to go Dumbledore 2 wide. And let me see what Dumbledore 2 regular looks like. Let me see what the difference between regular and wide looks like. Okay, all that does is stretch it out. So I'm going to go just with the Dumbledore 2. The shadow would be pretty cool. Let me... all right, when I want to see what a font or something is going to look like, I just simply take a quick minute and do a sample V-carve toolpath. It's not going to be used for anything, but I'll use a 60-degree V-bit as a reference. Actually, that's a lie. I'm going to use a 45-degree V-bit as a reference, and I don't think I have added it to this tool database yet. I just got it, and it's a 1/4 inch diameter. So we're going to hit new tool, adding a tool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never added the tool, here we go. It's going to be a V-bit. The diameter is a 1/4 inch. The angle is 45 degrees. It is a 3 flute. The pass depth is going to be 0.2. Step over is 4% and 24%. 18,000 RPMs. I'm going to go 75 inches a minute with that bit and 25. That's good. So we're going to click apply. And that's the bit that I'm going to use. Hold on a minute. All right, if I painted this black, it would look like that. So it has that shadow effect. So if we look at this very closely, if we examine this without the color, it's carving around this kind of outline, right? Giving it that shadow effect. That with some color added to it doesn't look that bad at all. Do I have something like that on this other? No. So shadow might be an option. Let's see here. Let's go back to our normal font, the Dumbledore 2 without the shadow. And then I'll decide when we do it as a whole. That's the wonderful thing about, the signs and stuff is we can play with it until we see something we like. Like personally, for me, the St. Patrick's being fatter, the St. Patrick's Day came fatter. The fonts being, fatter, like wider and stuff like that, really has a good look to it and everything, but maybe something with that, like a shadow, looks well. I'm going to do St. Patrick's. Let's do all caps. Try that. St. Patrick's. I'm going to move this down here at the bottom. And let's see. Let me go with a Rockwell just to really. What I'm doing is looking at all of my heavy fonts. Ooh, that's a little wild. Rockwell. But again, it's too stiff and rigid, right? So if anything, I would want a heavier font that has a little bit of flow to it, something like this. I mean, looking at kind of if they're stacked on top of each other, but I like the heavier font for this sign. So I'm actually going to take this smaller font and move it out of the way for now. I'm going to go ahead and center this heavier font. I really like it. I don't know why. I don't like the text. I don't like the font itself, but I like the style, and it'll just force me later to go back to defont.com and try to find something similar that's a little bit cleaner. But the proof is in the pudding. I'm going to carve this design right now, and we'll see how it goes. So these flowers are going to carve very shallow if I use a 60-degree V-bit. So for me, these vines and flowers, a 45-degree or a 22 or even a 30-degree V-bit is a nice bit to give me some depth and definition on these smaller, closer lines with a V-carve. And on these larger ones, I don't want to go that deep and everything. So like a 60 or a 90, or just setting a flat depth. Sometimes I don't like to do that. So I think I'm going to be happy all the way around with a 45-degree, cutting all of this kind of like for me, a meeting in the middle type of thing. And so I'm going to select it all. I'm going to go into the V-carve toolpath. I've already got the tool in there. No clearance tool. I'm going to let it carve to its depth. And I'm just going to do 45-degree V-bit. St. Pat's. Okay. Just a generic name for just a moment. I got my cap locks on, so that's why everything is backwards for me. All right, let's preview that toolpath. Okay. Let's cut it out so I can see the full realm. And I'm missing, I want a line to kind of outline the circle, but not the full circle. a top arc and a lower arc. I want that in this, but let's do just a generic profile toolpath to see the cutout. Cutting all the way through the material. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. And I'll look at, we'll answer some questions in just a minute. Make sure y'all can see that. Now, of course, you can paint this up. It doesn't have to be black or anything like that. But I need, this isn't enough. It needs more, believe it or not. I need something to define kind of the outline. And there's two ways that I can do this. Number one is I can bring everything in a little bit, give myself a little bit of a border and do it as a raised effect. Everything is raised where everything is carved around it. That'll really look good. Number two is I can just create a little bit of an arch for myself. So let's do that right now. I'm going to select all of this and hold down the shift key, keeping it centered. And I'm going to bring it in away from my edge slightly. And I'm going to offset this inward a distance of the first distance. I'm going to try to go 0.2 inches or 1/4 of an inch and see if I have it. Let me see. Let me see where that lands. Oh, yeah. All right. So I'm going to go for the first one. I'm going to go 0.375. And then for the second one, I'm going to go 1/8, 0.125. Okay. Now, here, where these lines are, I'm going to utilize this top line here as a guideline, and I'm going to draw a line right there. And on my bottom here, I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to take both of those lines and mirror them over to the other side. Mirror them to the other side, create a mirror copy, flip about job center, flip horizontally. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to clean up that okay. And now I'm going to recalculate this toolpath to include these two arcs here. And I'm hoping that on this cutout, by doing that, and I'd round over the edge, you know, and everything on that. But by doing that, it gives me just a little bit more definition, just a little bit of something to outline everything, right? So very simple sign. There's nothing, there's nothing fancy about this. We don't have beer mugs or anything like that, and all that. So thought, what about fitting the vines to the curves of the circle? Yes. So that's another thing. We can create a vine, or have a vine of the circle all the way around, and you can go online, for help with stuff like that and everything. We can go online. Let's see if it'll show this window. Make sure y'all are seeing what I'm seeing. And we can do circular. Hold on, I got the cap locks on still. Circular vine flourish vector. And we can, start finding some samples of something that might be befitting of the design or whatever the case may be, whatever fits. This, something like this could fit. This could be 4-leaf clovers instead of the 4-petal, 5-petal flowers or whatever. It doesn't always have to be clovers. It doesn't have to be anything like that, but there's a lot of, you can get them on Etsy for very cheap where the vectors are already done. There's a lot of different options with circular vine vectors. And so, yes, you can really enhance a project, JR, just like with your thoughts and all. You can really enhance it by creating a vine border all the way around, something that, that fits the theme or, that fits the design. I don't have a whole lot of room to play with, but a small thin vine or something like that would, could enhance it quite a bit. And so circular vine flourish vector, there's lots of sites, free download, freepick.com. I think that's free pick. But there's lots of places where we can get those circular type vines and really dress it up. So yes, right? That could look great. The second thing that we can do is, if I offset this inward, a 1/2 inch, and bear with me just a second, carve, skip, carve. If I select this minus this lower arc, this upper arc, I'm going to have to add another vector around my flourishes, I believe. Let's find out. If I do a V-carve toolpath, I'll set a flat depth. I love an 1/8 of an inch flat depth for these raised signs. It really looks good to me. I will do a 45-degree angle. That's fine. I'll use a clearance tool, 2 clearance tools. In my case, I'll use a 1/4 inch end mill for the large clearance tool, and I'll use an 1/8 inch end mill for the smaller. We'll calculate this. And now this is going to give a raised effect, but it's going to give a negative effect to the vines. And if I add another vector, if I add another offset around them, it'll reverse it. It'll create like an island for them to carve on. So, but let's look at it first. I always look at it first, and then I decide what change needs to occur, if any, type of thing. All right, so with this raise sign, let me turn off the color for a minute, and let me put the profile border on there so we can kind of get the full effect. All right, now, because of the way that it's carving, a V-carve toolpath, just so for those of you that are new and may not know this, a V-carve toolpath cuts between 2 lines, skips the next pair, cuts between 2, skips, cuts, skips, right? So when it wasn't encompassed with this outside vector that I have selected, it was cutting between these two lines, skipping here, cutting in here, skipping, cutting, skipping, cutting, and it was creating that carve, okay? By adding in this additional vector, so that's why when you surround anything with a boundary or a border or something, it creates that raised effect. Now it's cutting between the lines of that border and here. It's cutting between here, skipping between here, cutting this, skipping that, and that's why it looks like this, right? So it cut here, it skipped between those two lines and cut that center in there, and it created that negative effect, if you will. But the vine itself is carving raised appropriately. It's just all of those 4-leaf clovers that I created, all of those clovers need that extra line. They need that extra line. So that could be accomplished pretty straightforward. Depending on how we go about it, it's cutting here already, and but it's cutting here already. Let me see that vine just to see that. It's leaving that raised. Sorry, it's leaving that raised and cutting in the middle there. And so if I said, no, I want this outline cut, I could do an offset and add, and re-add the vectors, retrim the vectors. Now I would do just one, then I would replace it down below. Or yeah, that's the only way I can do that. So let me do that really quickly, and then we'll move on. The last 30 minutes here I want to spend with the weave, the Celtic knot, but I'll do a couple so you can see the idea, but I'm basically going to take this and I'm going to offset it outward only a small amount. So it'll probably literally be about 0.02. And it's going to create this additional line here. Now, the line needs to stop and it needs to connect to what's already there. So what I mean by that is in node editing, I'm going to cut the vector here. And bear with me. I will cut the vector here. For right now, I'm going to delete everything that you see that has nodes around it. That was just that offset I created. It keeps this offset here. Now I'm going to use the extend tool, and I'll just extend this line to here. I'll probably clean up the flow of it a little bit, but I'm going to extend this line to here. And then I'm going to take the scissors and, oh, that didn't work. Hold on a minute. I got to go into node editing. Bear with me. One more cut. All right. So this outside line is going to connect here. And I should be able to trim that line away now. There and there. And I will smooth this off. Let's go to node editing really quickly. Hitting the letter S on the keyboard, I'm going to smooth this out. Selecting these, hitting the letter D on the keyboard, I'm going to delete those points. I don't need all of those points, and I can kind of pull this just to kind of clean that up. Up here, I can take this, I should be able to take the scissors there and there. Now here, this line and this line are going to, they need to connect together. So my extend tool, I'll extend that to there, and I'll extend this to here. And with the scissors, I should be able, oop, don't do that. With the scissors, I should be able to clean that up. And once again, I want to smooth this out. So in node editing, it doesn't need to be so stiff and rigid, you know. Now, what I've essentially done is added an additional line in there, an additional line and everything in there. So I'm just going to carve this with that new change, and you'll be able to see the difference from the left to the right. So let's go back in here and carve this, reselect this new vector here. Leave that untouched. Calculate. You'll see the left and the right, the difference in just a second. Let's reset the preview, preview the visible toolpath. And so I didn't have to do this and go back and forth, I would take my entire design and copy it to a new layer. I would have my standard carving, standard V carve, that first one, and then I would have my raised version, which has the trim. So if we look at the vine now, by adding that line in there, instead of a negative like you see here, it's a positive. And when we add, like if we were going to color this and everything, you know, it has that look versus this silhouette look, right? So by adding in that extra line, it creates that difference. And then for these free floaters like this, I don't have to do any node editing. All I have to do is select that one, that, we'll leave that one alone for a minute, and offset them outward. Let me and if I were to let's try that again. If I were to calculate that, by adding that extra offset all the way around, we did the same thing as we just did with the one we had to trim and node edit. And it just creates that extra line, right? That reverse effect. And so now those clovers are raised and they're filled in. Now I have one extra offset line that shouldn't be in the design. right there. When I did the offset, it created this vector right here. That's trash. And it also created this vector right here. I do not believe it. Yep, there's one more right there. I believe that's all it created. So if I recalculate that, I can preview that toolpath again, and this piece here should go away. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, my middle clover is still hollowed out and everything, so it gets another offset around. It gets trimmed and all of that stuff, just like I did this first one to create that effect. All right, and then again, this is the original, right? So I wouldn't delete it. I would take my original. It's very easy to take my copy here and move that to a new layer. Move to a new layer and just call this the raised vine, right? Or something, raised vine. Turn that layer off for a minute. Take my original, oops, and mirror it back. Give me just a second. Make sure that our layer is active that we're copying and pasting to. Let's try that again. Mirror that up here. And then this would be one design, carved, regular carved, without this vector here. So that vector would be gone. That would be one design. And then the other one on another layer would be the raised design. So I'm not trying to trim this up and cut this, and then all of a sudden I get a different effect on the other one, because it's literally changing it completely. It's creating a negative effect if I, when I'm doing this, when I'm doing that that change, right? So don't screw up your originals and all that. Now, I believe you get that. I believe you understand that and everything. We would just have to do the same thing here and over here, so that all the 4-leaf clovers would be raised up like this. Let me turn off the color so you can see what I mean. So they'd be all raised up like that instead of the negative. And it's just a matter of, offset and trimming and everything. I think you know how to do that from what I just showed you. You can go back and just follow that along, and that same principle with these last two over here. Mirror that down to the other side and you're done, right? Why draw what you can copy? So do one, mirror it down, and you're finished. But I want to show you a completely, maybe something a little bit different. We could have also in this design, let's move this over here. We could do like a Happy St. Patrick's Day, 2025 arched type signs, words and everything, where we actually, curve the text type of thing to follow the, the arch, whatever it may be. And then put it a completely different sign in the middle. Like, let's say that we're into the Celtic knots and stuff. We are going to actually draw this one that you see here on the screen. We're going to actually draw this from scratch and turn it into a model. We're going to do our best in the short period of time that we have. But if we were to, St. Patrick's is screwed up. It's not leveled perfectly or any of that stuff. So how I would fix that is offset the circle inward. I'm going to go inward, let's say 1.25 inches. I'm going to go into node editing and pick a spot. So I'll say right here, we'll cut the vector. And right here, we'll cut the vector and delete this top half. I would select St. Patrick's. I would select that arc that I just created, and I would go into the curve, text on a curve tool. I want to be on the center of that curve, and we'll edit the text spacing a little bit. We're going to be on the middle of that curve and click close. All right, so we could have something like that. And if we were to carve that, V-carve toolpath, no flat depth, no end mills, just a V-bit. We could create some kind of, Celtic weave. Hey, take it easy, Farriers. Appreciate you. We could add that in, and, we could do a sign that has something along those lines, right? We can create all kinds of that stuff, right? And so we're actually going to draw this design from scratch. I'm going to show you how to make this from scratch to make it a single line vector that we can use for the single line extrude tool in Aspire for making a model. But just wanted to show you that graphic right there as a V carve, kind of has that weaved look to it, as a V carve. And so if we cut out the profile, now, of course, it could say, Happy St. Patrick's Day all the way around. We could make it circular all the way around. We could do all kinds of things, just something to play with. And if you want your text to really follow the curve, offset that boundary inward, trim where you want it to start and end, and then have the text follow the curve, and it'll follow it a little cleaner than just trying to pull it up and down in the text tool with the, the curve nodes and everything. But let's detour for a second and take this design. We'll do a Happy St. Patrick's Day, but let's see if we can draw. I want to teach you how to draw this really quickly, this design here from scratch, using simple shapes and everything. And then we'll try to extrude it to get it to weave and see how it goes. On the weave and extrude tool in Aspire, the vectors have to be really laid out perfectly to get the perfect up and over and under and everything. We might have some over and overs, but they're easily fixable and stuff like that. We just have to take time, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I want to show you this. I really want to show you how to create this from scratch. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's create a new layer. Let's turn off all these other layers. Let's go ahead and throw in our 15-inch diameter border just so we know where that is. And then I'm also going to throw in a, let's go 13-inch. Let's go 14. I don't need the border to be that big. All right. So now follow along with me, ladies and gentlemen, for the next few minutes. We're going to make this Celtic weave as a single line so we can use it as an extrusion. Like if we trace this image, let me turn that image back on just for a minute. If we are to trace this image, right, it creates the double line. So these two lines here. And for V-carve and pocket cuts and all that stuff, that's wonderful. But if I'm using like a single line extrude tool, like in the Aspire tools, I need a single line for a cross section or a profile to follow, right? So I need to create this same design, but in a single line. And it's almost like taking a line and making a center line down this part, right? And creating that center line, if you will, because that's what it is. but we're not doing that. We're going to draw it from scratch. And here we go. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the rectangle tool. And I'm going to start off with and again, these numbers are just random numbers that work, but you can make them any size you want. Just try to follow the same principle. I'm going to go with a 2x6 square, 2.6, not 2x6, 2.6 square. And I'm only going to create one right now. And then we'll end up circling it around to the others. Okay. But I'm going to take a line and I'm going to draw a line. Well, first of all, on that square, I'm going to hit the number 0 key to rotate it 45 degrees. 45 degrees. And we'll just split it right down in the middle here for a second. We'll end up moving it in just a minute. And I'm going to take a line and I'm going to draw a straight line down the center and a straight line across the center here. And I'm going to use those lines. They help me for flipping and stuff like that. I'm going to take two circles. Now, the circle that I want, my square is 2.6. I need my circle slightly under the 2.6. So I'm going to go 2.4. Going to reduce it down just slightly on the diameter of the circle. So the diameter of the circle is going to be 2.4. And when I click here, I'm going to snap this edge of this circle to here, over here to this edge, this outside edge, and over to this outside edge over here. And then I'm going to select this line and I'm going to flip that circle about the line using the mirror tool. I'm going to click on flip about line and I'm going to throw that over there. Okay. Now, this is also a way to make a heart, right? So if I were to trim this up and trim away these lines here in the middle, we've essentially just created this heart, right? Simple enough. Heart. Now, if I take that heart and I use the circular array tool and I revolve it 4 times around the center, I've now essentially created a 4-leaf clover, right? Okay. So now on this, once again, started out with a 2.6 square, turned it 90 degrees. So it was like a diamond, right? In that diamond shape pattern. We drew a line down the center across horizontal and vertical. 2.4, just slightly smaller. That's what gives me that slightly smaller circle is what gives me this little crease right here. So if I undo this last trim here, you can see there's the corner. That's the corner right there of the rectangle or the square, right? Of that, you know, the top of that diamond. So by going at the 2.4, just slightly smaller, that's what gives us that heart shape, and it's, you know, instead of bringing it right up to the corner, right? So we ended up trimming that away, and then we rotated that around 4 times around the center to create that clover, right? Simple enough. Simple enough. Now, on the pattern, once again, to remind you of the pattern, let me pop it back up here. From each of these hearts, it's going to be, don't let it confuse you, but there's kind of a square in here with braided hearts there as well too, right? So we need to create that pattern inside. And so for this, I'm going to use a square. Now remember, my big square was 2.6. I'm going to go 1 3/4. I need something a little bit smaller that can kind of fit in here because it's going to get rotated 45 degrees too. So I'm going to go 1 3/4. I'm sorry. That's a lie. I'm going to go 1 1/2. I'm going to go 1 1/2. Create that square there. And I'm going to rotate it. And then kind of snap it up here, right? So you can imagine this leg's coming down to here. That leg's crossing over, coming down to here, right? And then we're going to kind of rinse and repeat and create our hearts. You know, it had a set of braided hearts on the side of this. So I'm going to draw a line across here, kind of just like what we just did. I'll even draw a line down the middle here, just like we did before. And now the circle, this is 1 1/2 here, and I actually want to go half the size of this one because the hearts are smaller. They're not going the full size of the square. They're smaller. They're almost like if I turn this off for a minute, turn the other one on, you can think of this right here. This is the square. So imagine this is the square right there, right? That's the square right there. Okay? So I have this little heart. Imagine this heart right here. That's one heart. And then this is the other heart. Now, you see how this heart, think of this curve of this heart. You see how it's on the edge of the square, but it comes to about the middle of the square. So if my square is 1 1/2 inches, I'm going to use 3/4 for the circle that I create. The two circles that I create, that'll create that where it kind of falls right in the middle of that leg of that square right there, right? That's what we're achieving. That's what we're trying to do. So here I'm going to draw a 3/4 inch diameter circle. All right. And on this 3/4 inch diameter circle, I'm going to bring the edge. Imagine this line is coming up and it's literally coming around and curving right into the middle there. And then it's going to come and curve around the middle here and everything. So I want the edge of the circle right on that edge. Now I'm going to hold down my shift key and select this line. That's the line I'm going to flip it on. And I'm going to flip, mirror, flip about line. Okay. Now these two circles, I can take this vector here and I can flip about line again to flip them over to the other side. Okay, with me? Now, think of this as a heart, and it's coming around, and it's coming to a point here, and this one's coming to a point here. So when I go to node editing and I cut the vector here on these two lines, I'll do the same thing over here, cut it right here. And over here, right at that center point, I can trim I'll keep that line there for a minute. I can trim that. And now I can use my extend tool and extend this line to here. Now you would think that I actually want to extend this line to here to finish off the heart, right? Wrong. I don't. I actually want this line to connect to here because I want this edge to come over, around, and over, because it's going to, where the intersections are, and I'll just do this one right now for now, but it's going to go over this, under that, over this, under that, over this, under that, and that's how it creates that wave. So I need these S's, if in a sense. So I'm going to take this line and extend it to here. And what I should have when I join these, okay, I got to cut the vector right there, node editing, cut the vector right on the center of that heart. Cut it there too. Because what I want is this, excuse me, this line is going to continuously continue to here. So I'm going to cut the vector on these 4 points of this square. And I'm going to reconnect them one at a time. So let's get out of node editing so you can see this. I'm going to select this pink line here. Hold down the shift key and select that line. Come around that line and that line. So when I go to the join tool, it's going to be one continuous vector. Then this one is going to connect to here, to here, to here. One continuous vector. So now I have two vectors that look like this if I move them to the side. I have that one, and I have this one. And when I put them together, they create those two hearts with that square shape. The center lines, right? We're going to be extruding something on them, right? I don't need these center lines anymore. But now I have these two shapes. I can now create a circular array around the center of my board 4 times around, and that creates the pattern. Looks very similar to this pattern. It's not the right size to show the center line, but so basically we've created this, but the center line of that, right? The single center line, if you will, of that version. Now, this S curve that I've created, and to once again pull it off to the side, that S curve right there, that's got to connect to this heart that connects to this heart that comes around and connect. It's got to be a single or a set of single paths, almost like 2 paths or even 1 or whatever. Eventually it's a never-ending line, right? Right now, that's not the case, okay? Right now, I have this heart, I have these 4 hearts, right? And what that means is these straight lines on the hearts, they're overlapping each other. When they're put together, right here, there's like, instead of one continuous line, one continuous path. Right now, I have 4 separate paths, 4 hearts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and those paths are overlapping each other. They're kind of like on top of each other here. Can't be that. It's got to be just one smooth line, okay? And so what happens is, if I come in and on here on these weaves, I'm going to be using the extrude tool, the extruded weave tool, but I need a path or a profile to follow. So for right now, I'm just going to make a small circle here. I'm going to cut it in half because I only need the top half of it. And that's going to be my profile. That's what I'm going to follow along. So if I, as an example, I'm going to just have this one S curve. I'm going to go into that extrude tool. I'm going to select that profile, and I'm going to be creating this model, right? So I'm going to be creating that profile. But when I have the two profiles and everything, when I have the two profiles or the two paths, and I create that, I'm weaving now. And so it creates that weave pattern where it's going over, under, right? And everything. Now the ends aren't connected to anything at the moment. They're not connected to anything at the moment. And they'll be connected to the big hearts, but I can't have them connected to the hearts as they are because I have lines on top of lines right now on those 4 hearts that made that clover, right? So it won't weave properly. It won't extrude or weave properly because it's not that continuous flow, right? So we're going to delete the lines that we don't need, and just when it's all said and done, it should be one path that connects together at the end of it all, right? But it should be one continuous path. So let's go into node editing. We'll do one at a time. And basically how I'm going to do this is I'm going to delete these 3. And on this one, right on these straight lines here, I'm going to delete the spans. So they're not there. Okay. I'm going to cut the vector here because this is eventually going to connect to this, which comes around and connects to that, which comes around and connects to that. And then it goes to the next one, to the next one, the next one. And it's going to be one continuous line. And I've got to join each one in the correct order. Okay. So what I'm going to do is to kind of give me a head start. I've got these 2 separate vectors here. I'm going to create a circular array without the legs, without the straight legs on them. Circular array. I'm going to revolve around the center of the material 4 times around, right? So we're kind of creating that outline, but it's individual arcs, right? They're individual. They're not connected to anything at this moment. Okay? And eventually they will, right? They will. The hardest part is when this line is coming down and connecting to here, and this comes through and connects to here, where, how can you create it? Yeah, Kurt, you could do that. You could select the duplicate vectors and delete them after you cut them free. Yes, you can. And so when we get to this point here on these straight legs, we'll deal with that when we get there. So for right now, we're going to start here and kind of get everything connected on the outside. So this arc is going to come in and connect to there. So I'm going to go into the join tool and join those as one. that comes here and that should connect here. And then that should connect here. Okay. And so that path right there, if I come in and do the extruded weave, you can see the arrows are one continuous path to here, right? So we come in and, oops, select that and apply. If all is right with the world, which I can see in some places it's not, but it's over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, all the way around to this next section, right? And we have a little bit of an issue on our over, under here, actually all of this. And so that's the tricky part, right? Creating that continuous weave and then where everything flows. Now, if I come in here and let me finish joining this. If I selected these where they're not joined as a straight line, making sure the arrows are still flowing the correct direction. The arrows here are backwards, so I've got to reverse this rail. If I do that, we get our proper over, under pattern there. We have to join we have to, we'll end up closing this off. They've got to be kind of joined right here. We'll end up closing that off so we don't have that funky overlap there. But now it has to kind of translate to these others, right? Now, if I take what I have and I circle those around, let's see where we're at here. I believe my path, the arrow should go correct. Around. Yep. All right, so select that and apply. Everything is good until because they're not joined together. I got to join them together. Once I join these together, this will come off cleanly. Okay. So right now, I'm just doing it one at a time. I know the issues with this. I've done this one a bunch of times. And so the moment that I join that right there, it throws off the weave, right? So the moment I bring those two together, it throws off that weave. And let's see here. The arrows are going around, coming here, around, coming there. But the moment that gets created, that weave gets thrown off, it throws everything off. Now, if I undo that join vectors where it's two separate paths again, what I can do is, this is where I'm going to connect this path and this path with a straight line. Well, here, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Extend. There to there. So this path should join into that one. And then this one should connect there. This one should connect there. And again, before I move ahead, I'm making sure that it's actually joining those as one. Okay, now I should have this coming here and coming across and to there. These 2 points right here will get joined together. Okay. And then this and this will get joined together. And now I have 2 closed vectors here and here. And if all is right with the world, I should be able to, and let me just show you that design by itself. It's basically that shape right there. Right? Now, if all is right with the world, and I go into that extrude tool, the All right, I lost it. Let's see here. Under. So under. Ah, it's not all right with the world. All right, let's figure it out. Weaves are sometimes a little tricky. Now, if this was a grid, and let me actually just do that really quickly. Let me move this. Bear with me just a second. Offset 0.7 or 0.8 is fine. Offset. Select that. Control C, Control V, rotate. Select just these inside vectors right here. Go to the Extrude and Weave tool, selection. Select that and apply. My weave is as it should be, over, under, right? So very straightforward. It's when we get into the weird shapes that, you know, if you're making a weave basket, by the way, that's how you do that, right? That kind of thing. It could be tight or small. It could be whatever shape you want. I'm just using a round shape, right? That kind of thing. So all of those vectors, those lines, it's individual lines, right? Nothing's joined together. And that concept, if I took these two lines and joined them with a straight line, and then these two lines and join them with a straight line, this kind of S curve right here, and I did the same thing with these two lines and those two, here and here, if I go into the extrude tool, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, over, or under, over, under. That's all correct, right? So it weaves correctly whether it's connected together or not. And so for my pattern to for this pattern to not weave correctly, I'm almost wondering if I want to cut the vectors in these four spots right here. And by doing that, do I create a scenario over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. I'm over here as well too. But right here, it starts screwing up. So it kind of blends. It doesn't really go over or under. It's under, over, under, under. And so, long story short, is there's a method to the madness. I'm going to hit the question mark here. By the way, version 12, Vectric. Great job, Vectric, on putting the little videos there now. He's got a very short video on how to do this. And every one of the tools, they have a video now along with the written instructions and everything, which is amazing. The extrude and weave under over crossings. With either vector or component-based extrusions, you have the options to activate the weave and part function. This gives you the ability to raise and lower the extruded shape to possible, on the drive rails for them to cross over. The effect of this is a component that appears to be weaved or extruded, right? So that's what we know that. The order of the weave is determined by the direction of the first vector picked as part of the drive rail selection. To change the order of which overlapping positions are raised up and lowered, you can right mouse click on the first drive rail vector. You select it and choose reverse rail option. Yep. There are two options to control the way the shapes are scaled. And, like the base, add base and all that stuff. And so the first vector selected, let's see how this lays out. I'm actually going to undo the cut, the 4 cuts. And I'm going to cut them here. On these outside arcs. Okay. So now I have a vector, this one here and this one here. By selecting those two, I'm just going to do 2 for right now. I do good up to a certain point, and then it blends together. It doesn't really extrude, and it's under, right? So that tells me that what that tells me is when, let me close this tool for a minute. When the cuts were here, right, when I went into node editing, I'm going to delete these spans again, these straight lines. Oh, not that. Hold on. Missed that whole middle there. When this was cut into two separate paths. I believe it acted correctly. No. All right. I told you I'd teach you how to draw the weave. I didn't tell you I'd teach you how to get it right. Hold on a minute. Let's see here. We're running it a little late tonight. Let's see here. Let's get out of this. All right. Let's get rid of bear with me a second. Oh. All right, back to the drawing board. The one shape I want to see when first of all, let me connect this and this. Join as one. All right, with this selected first and this selected second, and I'm here. Now, what I have is this path is running this way, and it's still running the same way here. What happens if I reverse the rail and one path is running one way while the other is going the other way? Does that affect the weave? No. Has absolutely no effect on it whatsoever. So let's return that. Okay, that is correct. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. This is correct. Except for the way it connects right there, but that's because it's trying to go over and there's supposed to be a line right here. So what I can do is I can add a little bit of an align, not a big one, not a long one. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. All right, I'm going to use the extend tool, and I'm just going to draw the line from there. And I'm going to draw the line from there. Get rid of this. That was just to use to make these lines extend, right? Just that. All right, make sure that's still one vector. It is. Make sure this is still one vector. It is. Okay. Now, when I come here and select this, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Hold on. When I select this, and a little profile. Okay. That is gold right there. Now, with that, I'm going to extend those lines there. I'm going to create that extrusion. I'm going to circular array that entire extrusion around. Okay. So to a point that worked, but it didn't work in the middle there. So I need to kind of continue it on. It doesn't work on the edges. They would have to be cleaned up. I could trim that away if I wanted to, but that's not that we're close. That's not it. Let's undo that. All right, let's get rid of the model. We know this vector works here. All right, let's copy that around. Okay. Now, we have overlap right here. Like Kurt H was talking about duplicates and all. Basically, it's an overlap. It's a duplicate. So when I go into node editing mode, I can right here, I can delete this span, and then I can extend that line back to that point. Now the thing is this literally has to, we're kind of back to where we almost were to begin with. And if I connect this here, if I join that as one, my question is what happens if I just take this and what happens if I take that and circular that around? Select all duplicates. It says no, there are duplicates, but it says none in the vectors. But I'll just select all the tops here. Okay. If I extrude this, this is just the tops. The bottom ones are not selected, the vectors that are underneath. Does that no. No. All right, so if I select just this one, I need to do this one. I got to get rid of the node editing. I got to get rid of the overlap here. Delete the span. And then extend it Come on, dude. Extend. Okay. Let's connect that to that and join. All right, if I select these two objects that are joined right here, these two, and I create that as my weave, that is correct. That is correct. So if I start rinse and repeating this, node editing, delete span, extend, join, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's got an overlap. Okay. Now, none of those are connected together. I'm going to select this one first, that one second, this one third, and that one fourth. Come on, baby. You son of a... All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are... What in the hell? Does anybody in the group see what I'm doing wrong? Or does anybody have any suggestions? Let me see here. I'm the teacher. I don't know why I'm... I'm supposed to be teaching you. Well, I can't see what I'm doing. What's different? If I select this one and this one, and I extrude just those two, it works. It works. If I select this one and let's add a new component, and if I select this one and this one, it works, but I got to merge them together. It's got to be a merge. All right, so that works. Except for I have over there, but everything else, nope. That one's great. This one's great. But these two are junk. So this one's great. And that one. But those two are junk. And that would be correct. Because the reason why those two are junk is because they're not. That would be correct. They would be junk because I'm selecting. I'm saying this one and this one, right? And when I do that, the two that I have selected here overlapping, they turn out correct. So when I do that, it turns out good. Okay, but I'm not doing that on the other end, and that's why it's turning out like junk. So when I select these two, that's turning out good. When I select these two, it's turning out good. And so what that means is I do need to cut this into 4 sections. Oh, hold on. Is it this simple? Hold on. Is it this simple? Give me a second. Let me reset. Is it this simple? I think I see it. I think I see it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Give me just a second. Here in the middle, node editing. I need a dividing line. Let me find a. Give me just a second. Control C, Control V, 1, 2. There we go. Okay, so that's my center line. If I go in here, stand by just a minute. If I go in here, I'm going to offset these two lines in both directions by just a small amount. Let's go 0.125. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to go in here with my scissors and I'm going to trim away these middle lines right here. And creating this separation right here. Now, this will make sense in a second. I am going to draw a line from here to here. And I'm going to take that line and I'm going to circular it around the center 4 times. Now, I'm going to select this and this. This and that. Come on, baby. Ah. I'm going to select this one and this one. And I'm going to create that. Okay. Okay. I'm going to select this one and this one. And I'm going to create that. Oops. All right. I think I have a workaround. It's a workaround. I'm going to select that. So here and here. Okay. That's correct for that corner. Now I'm going to create a new component. I'm going to select from here to here. That's going to be correct for that corner. Okay. So just these two corners right here. Now that one's not. Oh, what's going on? Dude. What do y'all see? Do y'all see anything? I think we're going to have to, might have to call it. Why isn't my weave working? All right, one more time. Well, now that you saw again. Okay, let me try this corner and this corner. All right, that one's right. That one's right. Okay. Hold on. That one's right. Okay. Hold tight. Hold tight. Now, if if all is right with me in the world, this is my workaround. I'm going to circular that array around stand by. Okay, as soon as I copied it around, this is correct. If I copy it around 3 times,
motion detected at door.
no, that throws everything off. Okay, so the circular array is not working for me. So I'm going to flip this. Okay, hold on. I need to go into, hold on. I have the power. Here we go. All right, here's my workaround, ladies and gentlemen. Then we're going to wrap it up for the day because this is the only thing I can come up with. I'll have to come back. We'll have to visit it again. But I'm going to create a line right here. Control C, Control V, rotate that around twice. So this diagonal. Now, the reason why I'm creating that line is I'm going to take this model right here and I'm going to hold down this the key and I'm going to select this and I'm going to split that model right there so I can delete this portion right here. Get rid of that. And I'm going to take this model and I'm going to select this and I'm going to slice it so I can delete this portion. I'm going to take this model and this line, split it. Delete this portion. Take this model and this line, split it. Get rid of that. I now have 2 sides that are correct. And so I'm going to Control C, Control V, copy and paste. And then I'm going to rotate them around. Something is slightly off center right there. I'm off center there because of my line. Give me just a second, ladies and gentlemen. You can see where I'm heading with this, but I had a misalignment. Give me just a moment. For some reason, that was not centered. Okay, I had a slight misalignment when I lined everything up earlier, so it threw it off. Let's do that one more time really quickly. Let's go back into here and don't do that. This model here is going to use this line to split it. And then that line is going to, or that side is going to go away. This is going to use this line to split it. That's going to go away. This is separated. All right, once again, I have these two working models. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I'm going to hit the number 0 key twice. Okay. I'll have to fix there on the with the smoothing. I'm still off a little bit for some reason, but that's okay. Now, these little 4 lines that I had drawn before, those 4 lines are going to get this extrusion and the one more time. Not the best way, not the cleanest way. If I was smart, I would have made that part where it extended all the way to this line and it overlapped it slightly so I didn't have to do this. Yeah, terrible way to do that. All right, this is it. This is it. You guys get the point. You get it. Give me just a second. And we're going to knock it out. All I'm doing is copying this around. Let me get everything. Let me delete these lines that don't belong. Okay, I should have 2 halves that work right here. They work just fine, but what we're going to do is all right, how we're going to deal with this is these lines in the middle, they're going to get deleted. Where I had cut them away earlier, We're going to make sure that this part is centered on the board. Make sure we're not thrown off. Now, I'm going to draw those lines again, those diagonal lines, that 45-degree line from corner to corner, basically, creating that center point. And these lines are going to get extended. I'm just going to go into node editing and just kind of drag them here. I am not connecting them. I'm going to let the models merge together, do that. Okay. So now, once again, when I select this and this, and I create that component, here we go. We're this is it right now. When I select that, I should end up with come on, dude. I shouldn't. Oh, you son of a. Oh, weave is turned off. God almighty. I was sitting there wondering. I should end up. Make sure weave is turned back on. Of course you're going to be a. What? What? Come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think late to the party. Is it just for Aspire? No, Kimberly, this is, but the watch the class from earlier. We started at 8 o'clock, Kimberly, and it's for Desktop Pro or Aspire. This is Aspire, and trust me, you're not missing anything right now by being late. We are hitting a major roadblock. We are hitting a major roadblock. Why is it okay? Okay, that one works. Stay. Stay. Lord have mercy. Okay, that one worked. That one screwed up. Okay. All right, so here's how I'm going to handle that. This one worked just fine. So I'm going to take this model. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to split it. Get rid of this. All right, I'm going to select this component. Select this line and split it. Get rid of this. I'm going to take this object right here and I am going to circular array that around 4 times around the center. I'm going to take, where's it at? This component here. And I'm going to flip it horizontal. Oh, not a copy. Okay. I'm going to take this component here and flip that horizontal. There we go. All right, now each of these models, let me show you here. I'm going to bump this one down. I'm going to bump this one in. I'm going to bump this one up. And I'm going to bump this one over. And that is the end. About as fun as a colonoscopy prep. Yes, exactly right. Holy Jesus. Kimberly, you missed. I've been doing this for about an hour or so, man. It's been brutal. You might have come in when I started this, but all right, ladies and gentlemen, the workaround for this Celtic knot, except for I should flip these around opposite so I get the over and under. But anyhow, I'm not even going to worry about the middle right now. It's going to be under. If I flipped them opposite, then it would be over, under. I could do that. But anyway, not right now. But the workaround on this is I had to get one side at the end of it all that worked and then bring it around to the others because I couldn't get that continuous line to do a proper weave. And I might have to have a meeting with Vectric and say, hey, here's the shape, make it weave properly and show me how to do it. Right. I'll see if I can set up that meeting with them, and if they can explain to me why, what I was doing wrong, if anything, then I'll bring that back to you. All right. So, long story short, we have this shape here, and so the the final shape was, this is going to be 1 inch thick. And it's going to have that Happy St. Patrick's Day on it. It could be carved in, or it could be rotated or raised like a model, however you wanted it to be. And I'm going to go all capital, Happy ST period Pat. I'm going to go all capitals. ST period Patrick's Day. And I'm going to take this circle right here. I'm going to offset it inward. Man, that was brutal. I'm going to offset it inward 3/4 of an inch. Not that much, a 1/2 inch. I'm going to take this, go to node editing, cut it on the left side here, cut it on the right side there. Select Happy St. Patrick's Day. Select this arc. Curve it. I want to be on the line. And for this, I'm just going to do a 60-degree curve. I'm going to go to a 10% of that raise with a base height of 1/16 of an inch. And come on now. Okay, that's telling me that there is an issue with my font. Yep, there's overlaps. So I'm just going to weld that together. Oh, hold on. I had another vector selected. Just going to weld that together. And then that will allow me to do that now. All right, so what that does is it gives me those raised letters, right? And then, you know, You could have, somebody's name down here or something like that. Whatever you saw fit. Whatever you saw fit. I'm going to take this circle and offset it inward again. Offset. I'm going to go another 1 inch. Nope. 1 3/8. This circle here, I'm going to simply reduce it down. So we're going to do a flat profile. We're going to go with a base height of, let's go 0.25, not 25, 0.25. It's going to be a subtract. Okay. And then, play around with it from there. We've spent way too long on tonight's project, so we have to we have to call it a night. I mean, it's it's been 3 hours and 24 minutes. So let me just recap. So this is just kind of a raised design. I will address that with Vectric. I literally will. Their 8 o'clock in the morning is like my 4 o'clock in the morning. I will set up a meeting with them and see if I can work with Mark or the guys over there and I'll have all the vectors and they can walk me through and see what I did wrong. If anything was wrong, or if there was a way that actually make it happen, I will bring that back to you all with the answers. So Vectric, if you're watching, I'm coming. We're going to set that meeting up soon. Literally soon. I'll call them this week, sometime this coming week. To turn this off and come back to our original design, let's go back to here. Let's get that back on the board. And once again, in the 3D view, that design was this bad boy right here. Bear with me just a minute. It was that one. Preview the visible toolpath. There we go, with the profile cut out. All right, so Kim, if you didn't see this part, we did a little basic sign that looks like this, a simple little V carve sign, the St. Patrick's Day. We also looked at it as a raised version as well too, and in the raised version, we have to add in some additional vectors to get it to carve right. But I will I'm really perplexed with that that weave, and so I really will talk with Vectric and see if I can work with them, spend a half hour with them or whatever it takes for them to show me what I did wrong, or if they're, what should have happened. And then I will bring that back to you because it's important. I want to follow up on that. And I want to thank everybody that stayed with me for 3 hours and 27 minutes through that nightmare project. I don't plan these projects ahead of time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have them all perfect and created and all before class with you. Literally, we're going through this off the top of the dome. I have a general idea of what I want to make. I've already got, like, I had the little heart vectors for Valentine's Day ready, and I had the 4-leaf clovers ready because I knew I wanted to use those. But other than that, I don't know what's going to happen, right, on the results. And it's probably a bad way to teach, but I need you to be able to see the process, the thought process, along with what tools do what and things. And sometimes it just doesn't go the way you plan it to go. And that weave took way, way too long. So, yeah, Scott Howe, rotate the original vectors that worked, then put the center square on a second layer and then extrude it separately. Exactly right. That is the short. Here's the result, right? That's the outcome. That's the conclusion. Exactly what Scott just said there is the vectors that worked. That's what on the model that worked, created that and I circled that around. But on the vectors that work, get them circled around. And then on that rectangle, make that a separate layer, extrude it with the same way, the single rail extrude, but then it blended in with those four and, be done with it, right? So hindsight, that's what we went through, that whole scenario just to come to that conclusion. And I, this is the real world with Laney Shaughnessy. Nice to meet you. All right, everybody. Listen, y'all have a wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope everything goes well. March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. Have a green milkshake on me. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye now.